All right, so as I mentioned before, we are here to talk about SURP application and overview. Let's just go ahead and do some brief introductions. My name is Anna Patino. My pronouns are she, her, ella. I'm a Europe advisor, and my contact information is directly on the screen for those of you who would like to send me an email at any point. If you have any questions, happy to answer those emails. We do also have our Europe box available, so you saw our contact information at the beginning of this presentation, and it will also be at the end of the presentation, but you can always send us an email to europe@uci.edu. And I will also let Kaustubh go ahead and introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Kaustubh Simha. I'm a third-year electrical engineering applied physics double major here at UCI. I'm a Europe peer advisor, and I've been working with Europe for the past 2 years, and it's really nice to meet you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Kaustubh. So Kaustubh is going to be joining us today to share a little bit about his experience with SURP and what it was like to apply to Europe opportunities. I do also want to note at this point that if you have a question, please hold on to it. I will be answering questions at the very end. And if you pop it in the chat, again, I will save that for the very end. So I won't be reading those throughout the presentation, but feel free to hold on to them until we're all finished, and we should definitely have time for any questions that you might have. Let's go ahead and get started. So what is the Summer Undergraduate Research Program, right? SURP. First of all, the Summer Undergraduate Research Program is, like I said, one of our Europe opportunities. It is a unique opportunity to receive recognition as a Europe Fellow and potentially also a funded award, right? It is for continuing intensive UCI faculty mentored research experiences. And I will explain what that means in just a second. They will be happening over the summer as well. So SURP is designed for UCI undergraduate students who already have a research opportunity with a UCI faculty mentor. So what that means, basically what I mean by continuing, is that most of you already have a UCI faculty mentor that you are working with either on your own independent project or on a project within a group or a lab. So that is perfect. And for those of you that already have a mentor, great. For those of you who do not yet have a mentor, you have a little bit of time left to go ahead and start looking for a faculty mentor to work with. But you will have to kind of start that process now and have a faculty mentor by the time that you apply, because you will be writing a research proposal with them, which we will kind of touch on further on in this information session. But your research should start slightly before the summer, just to kind of make sure that you're getting all of it done. And that's what we mean by continuing, right? So some key features of SURP include the duration. So it's typically about 10 weeks over the summer. We say typically because there's no specific deadline. You are going to kind of consult that with your faculty mentor. If you feel like, 9 weeks, for example, is sufficient and you feel like you can get your research project done in that time, that's totally fine. If you need a little bit more time, that is okay as well. But the research should be conducted over the summer of 2025, so this upcoming summer. It should not be taking the rest of the academic year. The time commitment is generally 20 hours per week. And again, we say generally because this is going to be a little bit different for everyone. Not everyone is going to do exactly 20 hours a week. That is going to depend on your project. It will depend on your faculty mentor, and what your hours are going to look like, maybe depending on what part of the project you're in that week. And there is also a presentation requirement. So Europe Fellows, or anybody that is awarded through SURP, which is what we mean by Europe Fellows in this case, enrolled through spring quarter of 2026 must present their project at the UCI Undergraduate Research Symposium in May of 2026. So we do have an undergraduate research symposium hosted by Europe every May, and we do have one upcoming this May, but you will not have started your project at that point, right? So you're going to be presenting at the next symposium. So that is a requirement if you are awarded either for recognition or for recognition and funding. Here's where we kind of give that disclaimer of the fact that Europe does not provide students with a research opportunity. So this can be a little bit confusing for some folks. because it is called the Summer Undergraduate Research Program, right? So there is this misconception that you would sign up for the program and that we would match you with a faculty mentor, but that is not the case. All of our UROP fellows and anyone who is applying to SURP or any other UROP opportunities are required to find their own faculty mentor, and UROP has plenty of resources to help you all find a faculty mentor if you need help doing that. I will touch on a little bit further into the info session on our website and how to find all of this information as well. Okay, so I keep using the term UROP Fellow, and I want to make sure that we take some time to explain to folks what a UROP Fellow is, right? So what does it mean to be a UROP Fellow? UROP Fellows will develop valuable academic, personal, and career readiness skills that can be highlighted in things like interviews or networking opportunities. So it absolutely is to your benefit to become a UROP Fellow. And that is just anyone who applies to any UROP opportunities. So in this case, it would be applying to SURP, and you are awarded, right, through SURP. So that would either be for recognition, just for the title of UROP Fellow, or for recognition and funding. So for SURP, we'll cover a little bit about what that funding might look like in just a bit. But some of the skills that you can highlight in potential interviews or networking opportunities that you will get through applying to SURP are critical thinking, communication like public speaking, reading, and writing. So as a part of this application, you'll be writing quite a bit. You'll have to communicate with faculty members and possibly other students or graduate students. You will have to do a presentation at the symposium, so you will be bettering your public speaking skills, all things that you could absolutely highlight in future opportunities that you'd like to apply to. You can highlight leadership, teamwork, professionalism, technology, right? And any other discipline-specific skills that you gain as a result of the research experience you're about to encounter, right? So if you are a UROP Fellow and you are enrolled in spring quarter, again, you do have to present your project at the upcoming symposium in 2026. And it is not an automatic thing that happens. So just because you're awarded through SURP or any other UROP opportunity, that does not mean that you're automatically registered for symposium. You do have to complete the symposium registration when that time of the year rolls around. So typically early April, you will go ahead and apply. So that won't be until the next academic year for y'all. Okay, so who can participate in SURP? Who's eligible for the Summer Undergraduate Research Program? We welcome all current UCI undergraduate students who are participating in UCI faculty mentored research or a creative activity. Some of these eligibility requirements include having to be enrolled as a degree-seeking undergraduate student through at least fall quarter of 2025. So if you are graduating this spring, you are not eligible. You do have to be a student through at least this next fall, okay? You must have UCI faculty mentor guidance, right? So you have to have a faculty mentor who holds an academic senate title. So all that means is that they have to be an assistant professor, associate professor, or just a professor, right? And those are specifics that you can absolutely ask your professor just to make sure that they fall in line with our requirements. But just keeping in mind that postdoctoral researchers, graduate students, and staff researchers, are not eligible to serve as a UCI faculty mentor. It is completely okay if a graduate student or a postdoctoral researcher is kind of your direct contact or they are additionally mentoring you, but you do have to have a sign off from that faculty or that professor that is in charge of those students. You must be in good academic standing, so at least a 2.0 GPA. Some prior research experience. It is recommended that you have at least 1 quarter working on your research project before you start SURP. So as I mentioned before, some folks have not yet started. That is completely okay. But to ensure that you know what you're going to be doing over the summer, that you're on the same page with your mentor, we do ask that you start your project a little bit before the summertime rolls around because it is quite a tight deadline. You must submit an individual application, so keep in mind that for other UROP opportunities, folks are able to apply as a group, but for SURP specifically, all of this is individual. So if you are in a group, each person will have to apply individually. And if you are already doing an individual project, then that's great. You don't have to think about it. This is just an application for you. So like I mentioned before, the deadline is April 4th at 11:59 p.m. I'm going to be saying that a lot throughout this presentation. You do want to make sure that you submit well before 11:59 p.m. I do really recommend not waiting until the last minute. Do it a few hours before at the latest, just because our servers can get overloaded with the amount of applications that are coming in, and that has caused students in the past to miss the deadline. So do please make sure that you leave yourself enough time to submit. So at this time, we can go ahead and look at a general timeline for SURP. So before April 2025, so again, the deadline is April 4th, so you're going to want to do all of this before April. Secure a UCI faculty mentor that is willing to support your summer research project. So you're going to have to find a faculty mentor. And like I mentioned, Europe has tons of resources to help you do that. One of which is our Get Involved in Research series. So you can go ahead and watch our Get Involved in Research workshop if that is something that you are needing to get started on. And do keep in mind that we do also offer advising appointments if that is something that you're interested in as well. That's just for folks who have not yet found a faculty mentor. For those of you that already have a faculty mentor, you're doing a great job. You're right on time, right? So by April 4th, you're going to go ahead and submit your complete SURP application, which includes a proposal, a personal statement, and a faculty agreement form, which we will talk about a little bit more in depth. From April to May, our Europe Faculty Advisory Board will review all SURP applications. So we do have an advisory board, one professor from every school that goes ahead and reads those proposals that you're writing, and they will determine who is to be awarded for recognition, who's to be awarded for recognition and funding. During the summer of, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one, late May. So SURP applicants are going to be notified of their application status in late May. So don't panic if you haven't heard from us like right away. Give us until about late May, and that is when we will get back to folks about their application status. In the summertime, that is when the funded awards are distributed. All SURP Europe Fellows, so anybody that is awarded, again, Europe Fellows, either funded or non-funded, will conduct their research projects. So regardless of whether you receive funding or not, you are expected to complete your research project over the summer, or at least get most of it done over the summer. Late summer, we recommend that you keep checking your email. Please do stay vigilant of your email. It is our main form of contact, and we share a lot of great resources through email. But make sure that you check your email or the Europe website for details about our fall pitch project. So that is a really cool opportunity that a lot of our SURP students will take advantage of. And it is a competitive format for oral presentations, and folks can go ahead and present the work that they've done over the summer in, again, that competitive format. And you can present your summer research if you are chosen as a finalist for our in-person kind of competition that we have in October. Around in September, SURP and Europe Fellows should have made significant progress on their research projects and demonstrated substantial contributions that reflect their intensive summer work. In October, like I mentioned, that is when our pitch project happens, so definitely keep an eye out for that. We do have information about last year's pitch project on our website, and if you're curious to see what that was like, you can absolutely go on there and check out the presentations. We do also have the winning presentations on our YouTube page if anyone's interested in looking those up. Around early April, that is when the registration deadline is open for the research symposium. So like I mentioned, in April is when you'll register to present at symposium, but that will not be this April, it'll be next year's April. So just something to keep in mind. And then next year in May, you will go ahead and present your work at the Undergraduate Research Symposium. So pretty long timeline, right? You're technically going to be doing SURP-related activities for almost a year. So just something to keep in mind that most of the work will be done in the summertime. you will have completed your project by fall, and you will not be presenting at the symposium until the next year, right? So I keep talking about the application and the deadline, but how exactly do we prepare an application? So pretty straightforward. You will log on to your profile on the UROP website. You'll enter your applicant information, just name, UCI email address, phone number, major, class level, graduation date, all of that fun information. And then you will also enter information for your faculty and/or graduate student mentor info. So just keeping in mind, like I said, a graduate student cannot fulfill the role of a primary mentor, but they can be a secondary mentor. So if you do have a graduate student mentor, you will also include their information, but your faculty does have to be on there as well. You'll give us some information about your project. So you'll indicate if you are requesting a funded or a non-funded award. So if you want to be a UROP fellow and you want to apply to SURP, but you don't necessarily want the funding, then you absolutely don't have to apply for it. But if you are looking to get funding, that funding looks like a stipend of $1,500. So anyone who is awarded for funding and recognition will get that UROP fellow title and will also get a $1,500 stipend. That is directly for anything that you deem necessary. It is not specifically for like research related costs in any way. That stipend is just for you. So when you're filling out that information about your project, you will also indicate any funding history that you might have with UROP. So if you've applied to other UROP opportunities in the past and you have gotten funding from us, you'll go ahead and let us know about that. And you will also indicate if your project involves human or animal subjects as well. I did already mention the required documents, and we are going to go through them in more detail, but just as an overview, there are 3 required documents, and that is going to be your research proposal, your personal statement, and your faculty mentor agreement form. So those are going to be the 3 forms that you're going to submit along with all of this information on your application. Awesome. So I do want to ask Kaustav, now that we've kind of covered the basics of this application, Kaustav, what was your process like for applying to SURP or any other UROP opportunities?
I think you covered a bit of it. So asking my faculty advisor was like the main thing, and asking other grad students is a good perspective to have. I also went to the UROP hosted workshops. So we have multiple workshops coming up. And the Writing Center, as they are familiar with the UROP template and the rubric. So they're pretty good at tailoring towards what we need. So those are kind of the resources that I used. But for the personal statement is kind of where I had the opportunity to kind of talk about myself and my experience and my background and how I felt that this opportunity would lead me towards my future goals. And yeah, that's kind of what I touched upon.
Awesome, thank you. So as Kaustav mentioned, we have so many resources to help y'all achieve, a great application and to make sure that you all hopefully get awarded, right? But just something to look forward to. I will be sharing all of those resources as they become relevant in this info session. And like I said, we do also have all of them on our website, which I will get back to in just a bit. So starting with our proposal, that's the first document that you're going to need, right? And it is typically the one that people kind of spend the most time on, given that it's the one that our faculty is going to read in addition to your personal statement. And a lot of folks have not yet written a proposal before, which is totally okay, because we're going to break down exactly what that proposal is. And it's a lot less scary than most people will expect. So what is a proposal? It is a document that describes your project and should convince the reviewers of its significance and the need for funding if requested, right? So this is how you're going to show our reviewers that your project deserves to be awarded. Just something to kind of keep in mind as you're writing your proposal. So you will include some sort of thesis, purpose, objective, and your approach to the project. So you will describe the purpose with a clear research question or some sort of challenge that you're trying to address. Tell us why the project is significant. Describe the work that you've already completed, if any, and what you plan to accomplish. Give us like the intended outcomes, what you hope to find, anything that you think is relevant that you've already done, if you have done anything so far. You will also kind of outline your responsibilities. So discuss your specific duties for the project. If you're working in a group, what are your specific duties and how are they different from the rest of that group, right? If you are working with a mentor, explain how your mentor is doing different work than you are and be really, really specific about what it is that you're doing with your time. Tell us if you're working in a lab, are you conducting an independent project? Is this something that you've been working on for a significant amount of time? Any details like that would be really, really helpful. You do also want to create a timeline. So this is going to be really, really important. You are going to create an outline of your specific research process. So it ties in a little bit with the responsibility, but they are two different things. So you will include what needs to be completed. So in this particular example, maybe like data collection, analysis, trainings, any meetings that you're having related to your research. You'll want to include that as a schedule. So some people do it as bullet points. The format is not anything that we are super specific about, but you'll want to be really, really specific with the outline that you choose. So it can be by week. Most people do it by week. They'll do like 10 weeks, but you can also do it by month or by certain deadlines that you've already set with your mentor. So it is completely up to you what that timeline looks like, but it will have to be very, very specific. You also want to discuss any progress that you've made so far, if you've already made any progress, and list specific goals to ensure that the project is progressing efficiently. So if you and your mentor have gotten together and said, by the 5th week of summer, I want to be done with data collection, for example, then you'll want to put that in your timeline, that you'll be done with data collection by week 5, and that's going to be a marker for making sure that you're progressing efficiently through your project over the summer. You'll also want to include some references. So any references that you used in writing your research proposal, you'll want to list books, articles, any scholarly sources that you used, any outside sources that you used in preparing this proposal, or anything that's contributed to your research. So when you're writing about the background of the project, why it's relevant, you'll likely be looking at some sources that have done work that has inspired you to take this on, or something that's been done in the field before this project. You're going to want to cite all of those in whatever format your faculty mentor advises you to put them in. So some folks will choose MLA, others will choose APA, other formats are also acceptable, but make sure to talk to your faculty mentor about what that format is going to be for you. So as I'm talking about formatting, we do have some loose general guidelines for formatting. And what I mean by loose is that every faculty mentor is going to have some preferences on how you structure your proposal. And it is completely okay to listen to their advice, make sure that you're structuring it in a way that makes sense for your project. This is going to be a little bit different for each field. So just make sure that you are in communication with your faculty mentor. But they will help you determine how to best organize the proposal in a way that will make sense for your field. One thing that you really want to include for sure is the name of the undergraduate researcher and mentor at the top of the document. The page count is typically 3 to 5 pages, but I really don't want y'all to fixate on the page count. It can be a little bit more if you need more space. That is completely okay. But just remember that these are supposed to be concise. Should be double spaced. Margins are going to be 1 inch. The font should be 11 point or larger, and any kind of plain font that you like. So things like Times New Roman, Calibri, Arial, all of that is completely okay. Your document is going to be standard size, 8.5 by 11, and it should be a Microsoft Word document or a PDF. So please do submit when you're submitting it, submit it as a PDF or as a Word document. So again, your formatting is going to generally follow these guidelines, but your faculty mentor really is going to have the last say on exactly what that proposal looks like. I do also kind of want to ask Kaustav, how was it working on your proposal with your faculty mentor, and were they able to guide you on writing this proposal?
Yeah, One thing that my faculty mentor helped me a lot with was specifically with the wording and explaining very concepts. One thing as a student, I learn all these cool things, but I may not be as experienced as they are, and explaining them in a way where it's good for a general audience to understand. So they were really good at picking certain verbiage and diction that would help me with formatting the article in a much more presentable area. Um, Another thing was that helped, like their insight was they also forwarded that to some of their colleagues and some of the graduate students in their lab. And that helped me to give a different perspective and to give me a different idea of what I could include and what how else I could better format the essay.
Great, thank you, Kaustubh. So something that I really want to highlight about what Kaustubh just shared is that a lot of folks are really intimidated by this proposal, but really, again, your faculty mentor and other folks in your lab, if you have that available to you, should be helping you with this proposal, right? You're not going to be writing this all by yourself. So please do make sure that you are in contact with your faculty mentor as much as possible. It is absolutely going to be to your benefit, right? And to their benefit as well. We do also have quite a few sample proposals available on the UROP website, which I will show you in just a bit. But just keep in mind that they are outlined by school. So there are going to be school-specific ones, and they're all going to look a little bit different, right? Which is completely okay and something that you should expect. They are not all going to follow the exact same format. So like I said, it can vary quite a bit from project to project, but also from school to school. Our second required document, so out of the three, this is number 2, is going to be our personal statement, right? So what is a personal statement? A personal statement describes your relationship to the project. So we heard Kaustubh talk about this a little bit at the beginning, about how he got to kind of tell people what his relationship was to his project, why it was important to him, and his interest in it. So that is exactly what you're going to be writing about. You should include the following in a essay format. So interest and motivation for research or creative activity. So describe your academic or professional interest in conducting the research or creative activity and explain maybe what sparked that curiosity or passion for you. So this is really where you kind of get to inject that personal touch to your research and kind of tell us a little bit about you and why you decided to choose this topic. Any personal experiences, values, or life events that uniquely connect you to this project would be a great thing to share here. You can discuss, again, your motivations or values for your commitment to this project as well. Explain how pursuing this project will help you move forward in your academic career or in your personal goals. You can also discuss any skills that you hope to gain or that you've already gained from the project that you're embarking on, right? And discuss the impact that your project can make in your field or on others in your community as well. So while this is absolutely still focused on your project, same as the proposal, this is going to be a little bit more personal, right? You're going to get to talk a lot about your feelings towards the project, why you decided to do it, the impact that it might have on others close to you or within your community. So just something to keep in mind that you kind of get to share your personal views on your own project. You can also highlight any background experience, so anything that you've done in the past that relates directly to this project, like coursework, internships, relevant activities, that's all great to include. And in formatting your personal statement, it's going to be really similar to the proposal. So again, name at the top of your document, the page count, typically a little bit lower, but again, you can write a little bit more if you need to. Typically about 1 to 2 pages. It doesn't need to be super long. I think conciseness is always really appreciated. Double spaced, again, 1-inch margins, same with the font from the proposal and same document size as well. Friendly reminder also to please have it as a Microsoft Word document or as a PDF when you submit it. So Kaustubh, do you mind telling us a little bit about what it was like to write your personal statement?
Yeah, so I talked a lot about I work in a physics lab, specifically work in a condensed matter physics, which is a lot about quantum materials and very cool stuff like that. So I talked a lot about my interests and hopefully graduating, getting a PhD in physics, and how I thought that this funding would help me achieve that dream. The thing is, I actually had a chance to spend the summer working at Harvard under a different professor, although it was still for the same project that I started at UCI. So I thought I kind of put that down as an experience for me to learn more of what a PhD program looks like in a different university, and to learn more about what type of skills I could pick up from there, how I could bring that back to UCI, and how I could do better work through that. I eventually tied all that up as one of my future goals or a future avenue that I want to explore after I graduate from UCI, potentially a PhD. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kaustubh. So what Kaustubh just highlighted for us was that this absolutely can lead to future opportunities, and that is something that you can definitely include in your personal statement. For Kaustubh's, in Kaustubh's case, he was working with a UCI faculty mentor and additionally with a mentor outside of UCI, which is absolutely a possibility. And for some of you, that might be the case. So just something to keep in mind. So our third and last document that you'll need for your application is that faculty mentor agreement form. So what is a faculty mentor agreement form? It is a form that you will submit the reason for this is in an effort to increase the value and impact of your UROP experience. So we will require all participants to receive guidance and oversight on their projects from a UCI faculty member. This you already knew, but we want to make sure that all of your faculty members are completely aware of what they're signing up for. They understand that they will be mentoring you through this project, and that they understand that they will be helping you in providing feedback for your personal statement and your proposal, because that is a huge part of what you will gain from your experience in SURP is that mentorship, right? That's exactly how you're going to gain all of those awesome skills that I mentioned at the beginning that you can put on future resumes, CVs, and talk about in future interviews as well. So you'll have your faculty sign this form. So you'll want to meet with them first, make sure that you're reviewing your proposal. Likely you will have met with them several times before it comes to this step. But you will also want to send them that form electronically. That is probably going to be the best way to make sure that they have the file on record and they can go back to it. So make sure you send that faculty agreement form to your faculty mentor electronically for completion. Your faculty mentor should sign that form, and once they complete it, they will go ahead and send that back to you. Again, you'll want to provide your faculty mentors information in your SURP application, and that will be on the online application. And make sure that you put them in the line that says additional email addresses for notifications. It'll be really, really clear when you're doing the application exactly where that's supposed to go. And that's just to make sure that we can contact your faculty mentor if needed. And then you'll go ahead and upload that form to your application. And again, it should be either, I believe this one's going to be a PDF for sure. So you're going to want to upload it as a file that we can accept. So in this case, a PDF. And you want to make sure that it's signed before you upload it. So please make sure that it is the correct file. If you have to name it something that ensures that it's completed, please make sure that you check that ahead of time, just because we want to make sure that all of your applications go in with all of the information that we'll need. As a quick note as well on conducting ethical research, so I spoke a little bit about this before when we were talking about what goes into your application. So I did mention that you would have to let us know if you are conducting any research that includes human participants or animal participants, and this is related to that. So if you have any human or animal subjects, you will have to adhere to UC Irvine's research protection standards. And that sounds really complicated. I promise it's not too difficult to figure out, but you should be consulting with your faculty mentor to determine if you need IRB approval. Or if you're working with animals, then that would be the IACUC approval. We do have special instructions through this document that I will share at the end. So we have guidelines to help you figure out how to submit that paperwork and also to submit an IRB exempt self-determination form. So if your faculty mentor decides, like, yes, we are working with human subjects, but you do not need to submit for IRB, you will still need to submit that exemption form, and that is what these directions are going to be for. We do also have a guide. So when I talk about resources, this is honestly the best resource that you're going to get when it comes to applying to SURP. We have put together a clickable PDF guide that will answer almost all of your questions. So if you have a question, it's really likely that it's going to be in this guide, and I really recommend that you check it out first. But it does include a table of contents, several resources, and even frequently asked questions. So at this time, I'm actually going to show y'all exactly where to find this guide. And right here, I have pulled up the UROP website. Hopefully everyone is aware of our UROP website. If you need to find it, it's at urop.uci.edu, or you can just type in UCI UROP into Google and it's the first one that pops up. But if I go to this top tab right here, Opportunities, and I go to UROP Recognition and Funding, you'll see all of our different recognition and funding opportunities. I'm going to click here on Summer Undergraduate Research Program. And it's going to pop me right down to the page that I need to be at. Again, our deadline is going to be April 4th at 11:59 p.m. There are several little tabs here that you can click on for eligibility, preparing your application, and also this is where you will submit your application. So when you're ready to apply, you'll go ahead and come here, you'll apply here, and if I click it, it'll take me straight to our application, and that is what it looks like. You'll just go ahead and click apply right there. To view our guide, again, it is a clickable PDF, so you can just go ahead and click there, and you'll see it's about 17 pages. If you click down here, you'll see that this is a clickable table of contents. So if I start with the first little click there on page 3, I'll see what is the Summer Undergraduate Research Program, which we've already covered, but if you wanted to read more about it, you can go ahead and do that. And again, there are going to be different clickable links here. So whenever you see this little mouse icon, there's going to be a resource you can click on. So I'm actually going to go to our resources page, and actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to go to our conducting ethical research page. So again, this is exactly where you're going to find that information for that IRB exempt form. And if I click here, it'll take me to our resources page. So this is where you're going to find all of our resources in one spot. So get involved in a research information session for folks who have not yet found a faculty mentor. You can go ahead and watch it right here. The faculty mentor agreement form that you're going to want to send to your faculty mentor, you can find that right there. That is what it looks like. It's only 2 pages. Oh, I'm gonna have to click back down. You can also go ahead and see our sample proposals. So this is what I was talking about earlier with our sample proposals by school. So let's say that I am in biosci. If I click there, you can see different proposals that have been awarded in the past. So maybe I'm interested in human biology, then I can kind of take a look here and see what their proposal looked like. So you'll note that all of these are going to look a little bit different, and that is completely okay. But if you're interested in multiple schools, or you feel that there's proposals from different schools that will be applicable to your topic, you can absolutely click around and see what is best for you. But this is a good way for you to see what an example of an awarded proposal looks like. And some of them are longer, some of them are shorter, some of them have different titles. So it'll be a good way for you to kind of determine what your needs might be. A couple more things. As I'm looking through our resources, I do also want to point out that the UCI Writing Center is going to be an extremely important resource here. They're super helpful, really, really nice folks down there. They have all of our rubrics and all of the guidelines that you'll need to write these research proposals and personal statements. And they are going to be really, really helpful if you need help writing that, apart from the help that your faculty mentor can give. So they are taking appointments. Please feel free to go ahead and make an appointment with them. And there is a link right here within our guide to go ahead and schedule an appointment with them if you'd like to. We do also have our scoring rubric available. So if you want to know how this proposal will be scored, you can go ahead and take a look at that. And the research protection instructions are going to be right here. So for those of you who need to file for a self-exempt form, you can go ahead and follow these directions in this PDF. Also, if you go all the way to the bottom of the guide, you'll see frequently asked questions. So if your question is in here, there's likely already an answer to it. So that's why, again, I recommend starting with our guide. It's really, really helpful. And I think that a lot of you will benefit from having this just kind of on the side as you're applying. And if your faculty mentor has any specific questions about SURP, you can always refer them to this guide as well. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of this portion of our presentation. I do actually want to hear from Kaustubh just one more time. If you could share any advice with our future SURP applicants now that you've gone through the process, what would it be?
I think SURP is a great opportunity for you guys to maximize your summer and get some experience and make more connections too. And one thing that I really think is great about SURP is in the fall, there's usually a project pitch challenge. So whatever work you do over the summer, you could always come in, compete, and present during that. It's a pretty cool opportunity for students. I wish I did that last summer, but yeah, other than that, our office is open. Both me and Anna take appointments. So if you have any Europe-related questions, please be sure to email us or approach us and talk to us. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kaustubh. So yes, we do have peer advisors available for appointments, and we do also have professional staff such as myself available for appointments. So if you read the SURP guide and you watched this and you still have questions, absolutely feel free to make an appointment with us. Once again, I will say it one more time, the deadline is April 4th, so please make sure to mark that in your calendars and not leave it until 11:59 p.m. I do also recommend that you follow us on our socials. So if you scan that link tree on the left, it will take you to all of our social media. We send updates on there. We will post about when we're tabling. I believe we are tabling this week as well, in case you want to stop by and ask any quick questions. And we do also just post a lot of information on there about resources and reminding you all of deadlines as well. If you'd like to take our feedback survey and let us know if this workshop was helpful, if there's anything that you would recommend for the future, again, these info sessions are for you all. So if you have any opinions about it, please do let us know. Our contact information is at the bottom of the screen, so you can email us, give us a call, or stop by our office. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording so that all of you can ask questions if you would like to. So if you'd like to pop your question in the chat, or if you would like to just raise your hand,